Hello guys, welcome to another SoapUI tutorial from rcvacademy.com. In this tutorial, we are going to design end-to-end test case in SoapUI. So in previous tutorials, we have seen that we are now using Asana REST APIs, and we have understood a lot more detail about the get, post, put, and delete request. Now, the next step is to design the test cases using these requests. So, if you're working as a tester, you will be designing these test cases and then using multiple requests in a particular test case, or single request in a particular test case, or combination of multiple requests, right, to design the end-to-end scenarios. So that's what we are going to understand in this particular tutorial. So what I have done here is in SoapUI, I have added all the required resources that will be used in the end-to-end test case. And to add these resources, what I have done is I have gone to the Asana API documentation, right? So here, if I go to project, say, for example, and in the projects you have different resources, right, and different methods supported for these resources. So for example, you can get projects, post project, get, put, delete, etc. And in order to add these resources, what you just need to do is just copy the path, right? That's what I have done, and go to SoapUI, just right click and click on new resource, provide the details there, and just hit OK. All right. Now it will ask create resource as a child to get multiple workspace. I don't want that. I'll say no, and it will create a new workspace. And then I have just gone to the documentation, just copy get all projects in the workspace, because it makes more sense if you have a valid name there, so that it will help you to understand, and just rename the name of the resource get all projects in a workspace, right? And this is a method get, and then just go to the request, change the method to get, and here just leave it, because just leave the parameters as they are, because we'll be passing these values dynamically in the automated test case. So that's how I have done. I have added all these resources right here from the top till here, and that's how you will be doing in your actual project testing as well, that you'll be adding the resources, or you'll be going through documentation a lot, whatever documentation is available, and then from that documentation you will be going through the resources and the methods that are supported, and then you will be going through the requirements, basically what are the functionalities supported as part of those APIs or REST APIs, and then you will start documenting, or you will start creating your resources in SoapUI, and following that you will start creating the test suites and test cases accordingly. All right, so once you have added all these resources here, what you can do is you can just right click, and what I'll do is I'll click on generate test suite, which will be a quicker way to do it. Otherwise, you can also directly go to the project and say create a new test suite. Just right click and click on new test suite, and you can add all these requests manually. But what I'll do is I'll just right click and click on generate test suite, and then I'll say single test case within one request for each method, because I want a combination of certain requests or combination of certain methods in a particular test case. So I'll say single test case, and then I'll choose which of these requests I want to choose in this particular test case. Now the first step that we'll be doing in this end-to-end test case is to get the details of all the projects in a particular workspace. Okay, in our case, I want to get the details of all projects that are available there. Then I'll create a project. Then again we'll use a get project get request to see whether the project has been created successfully, and then we'll update a project and then delete a project. All right, so after updation we'll again use the get request to see the details of the updated project, and then finally we'll delete the project. So this is the simple end-to-end test case that we'll design. And then so we for this tutorial we'll just stick to the end-to-end designing and passing the dynamic values in the test case. In further tutorials I'll go through some of the verification validation part of the test case as well. Okay, so the first request that we'll add is get all projects in a workspace. All right, so we'll keep that. Then we'll also use delete, we'll also use update, we'll also use create a project, and then uncheck all other resources or requests that you are not going to add in this particular test case, and just hit OK. Rename this to the name that you want to use. Okay, so I'll just say end-to-end test case demo and hit OK. Right, I'll close this window here, and now if you open or expand this particular tree, you'll see create, update, delete, and get all projects in workspace requests being added. All right, so if I open this get all projects in a workspace, you will see that I'll need a workspace GID to be passed in this particular request to get the details of all the projects. So I have to get the workspace ID, for which I can get this particular request. So get teams, get workspace, get multiple workspaces, and then I'll provide the workspace GID here. For this particular test case, what I'll do is I'll hard code this value, and then I'll explain it in another tutorial just to keep this one as simple. So I'll pick this workspace ID that I have in this particular request and provide this in the workspace GID. All right, and now if I run this particular request, it will return me all the projects that are so I have not authorized this particular request. Now you can see I have added the authentication details here. Now if you haven't gone through the previous tutorials, please go through those, because I have explained how you can get the auth key through Asana developer portal, and then configure your authentication key here for your request. Ideally, when you create these resources, you import these, then you add these authentication keys here, so that when you are creating these test cases automatically, all the auth details are being pulled in the test cases as well. Right, so for this particular request, I didn't add these auth details in this particular resource here, and that's why the auth wasn't available here. So now I have added authentication. Let me run this request again and see the response. So now you can see the response, the JSON response. I have two projects available, IT project plan and second sample project. These are the names of the project, and the GID of the projects are also shown in the response. Okay, now the second request is to create a new project. Okay, so here as well, as of now, I'll just pre-populate the workspace and team as of now, and then I'll explain all these dynamic values, passing these dynamic values in further tutorial. So keep these hard coded as of now. So I'll just say CV Academy test project. I'll rename it, and then just say for learning purpose, just rename all the details, just leave all the details as they are there, and save the project, save all the projects, close this. So what we have done is we have got all the details. So I'll just move get all projects in a workspace first, and then create a project. All right, after that we need to get the project details again to see that the new project has been created successfully. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll just add another test step. We'll say add test step, click on REST request, and I'll say get project details after project creation. All right, so we want to verify the project details after the new project has been created, and pull the request that's the request here. So workspace, yeah. So I'll pull this particular get all project request and click OK. And we'll move this after create a project. So we are getting the project detail prior to creating a new project. We are creating a project, and then we are getting the project details in that particular workspace after this project is created. All right. Now the next request is to update, which is the put request. If you see, that's the put request. All right. And we are updating the details of a particular project, and then we'll be deleting this particular project. Okay, so after deleting, what we need to check again is we'll need to check the details again and see whether that particular project has been deleted successfully in the response. Okay, so for that, add a new step again and click on get project details after project deletion. Okay, so I'm renaming this particular step to get project details after project deletion, which makes it more readable and understandable to other people who are looking at these particular test cases. And then again, pull the request, and we are getting the project details after project deletion. So first we are doing is we are getting project details, all the project details, create a project, get the project details, and verify that the new project has been created successfully. Next, we are updating the details in the project. Then we are deleting a project, and then again we are getting the project details in that particular workspace and verifying that the delete project has been run successfully and the newly created project is no more available in the workspace. So these are the 6 steps that we'll be using in our end-to-end test case. For now, there will be few hard-coded values as of now in this particular test case, but then in future, in the next test case, in future tutorial, I'll try to automate each and every aspect of the particular test case. So we'll also understand how you can pass the workspace IDs dynamically as well. Okay, so for example, here getting the project workspace, I have hard-coded the workspace ID here, which I'll do in all the places. So let me get the details here. I'll copy this workspace ID and paste it in all the project details. So I've updated the workspace GID value for all these requests. Now the next request is create a project. Let me open it, and I have renamed it to RCV Academy test project, and then I have the workspace ID and team ID. Let it be hard-coded as of now, just to keep this particular test case simple to understand, and I'll close this particular request. Now in update a project, what we are doing is we are passing the newly created project GID to the value here, and that's what we'll be doing through property transfer. So that will be a dynamic value generated after the project creation, and we'll use that project GID that will be created in the response and pass it to the update a project and delete a project. Okay, so let us run this particular create a project request, okay, and see what the response is. So now you can see if in the response you have the GID available, okay, and that's the project GID. So this project GID needs to be passed to update a project, because updating a project, if you see here, requires a project GID. Now how will you, because this is the dynamic value created every time a new project is created, so you can't, if you want to update this particular project, then you can copy and paste this project GID here and you can run and it will be fine. But next time when you run this particular end-to-end test case, there will be a new project created, new project GID, and then the update will start failing. Okay, so what we have to do is every time this project GID is being created, we want to copy it and then dynamically pass it to this value, project GID parameter value. Okay, so we'll use property transfer to do it. And how we are going to do it, we'll just right click, add step, and click on property transfer. Just leave it as is, the name. I'll add the transfer value. I'll say project GID, click OK, and then from where we want to pass this project GID value, we want to pass it from create a project source. The property will be the response, because this value, if we see, we are getting it from the response. Okay, and then the path language will be JSON path. Okay, and then the target will be your update a project, and property will be your project GID. Now, how can you get the JSON path or the GID? Okay, so like in XPath, you had double slash to start with. Okay, so in JSON, to go to the root node, you need a dollar sign. Okay, and then dot. So what's the root node? Data is the root node. So you just say data, and then what is the child node of the data? GID. So the first child is GID. So you can just say GID, okay, to get the value of the GID. If you want the value of the resource type, you just change it to resource underscore type. Okay, so that's how you start writing your JSON path. Dollar for the root node, and then dot your root node, the name of the root node, and then dot your child. So depending where your particular GID is, for example, you want to get this particular GID, so you need to get dollar data dot owner dot GID. Okay, so let's open property transfer again. Okay, and change it to GID and see that the property transfer is happening successfully. Okay, I'll run this and verify that the property transfer has been successful. If you see here, the transferred value is being displayed here. Okay, and that is same value as it is displayed here. Okay, if you want this particular value, owner GID, what you need to do is you just change it to owner dot GID, because you are going to the root node data, then you are going to the child node owner, and then again child GID. If you run this, you will get another value, which is 4645. Okay, so that's a brief about the JSON path. I'll prepare a detailed tutorial about JSON path, don't worry about it, so that you understand the JSON path as well. Okay, so now the GID is available. Now it will be passed to the project GID. Okay, that's the first property transfer, which needs to go to the update project. Okay, in update project detail, in update project request, I close this. If I open update a project, yeah, it's here. So now you can see that particular value has been populated. Now in deleting a project as well, there it needs a project GID. So we need another transfer to pass the project GID value again to delete a request, to delete request, right? So create another property transfer, and then project GID, just say delete, and then from where, from create a project, and then response JSON path, and then again root node dot data dot GID. All right, and target value is delete project, property is project GID, and that's it. All right, let's run it and see that transfer value has been successful. So you can see the transfer name, the name that we have provided, and the value is the same value as in the response of the creator project. All right, sorry. So that's the value. Okay, so let me close all these, let me save all the projects. Okay, close the request and close the property transfer, and then delete. You can see now the delete project also has the value. So now you have passed all the values, okay, through property transfer. So what we'll do is now we'll move the property transfer after create a project, okay, because after creating a project the property transfer will transfer the values from create project request to update and delete, and then this whole project will this whole test case of 7 steps will run end to end. Okay, now let's go ahead and start running this particular test case. I'll open all the test steps, okay, and run the end-to-end test case. So it's running now. Update, delete, and get project details. So now it has successfully finished this particular test case. Let's see the details of this particular project. Let me open it, and okay, so here you can see get all projects. Let's see what is the response. Okay, now get all projects, the first request that we sent getting all the projects, we got 3 projects here, right? Because while designing this particular test case we already created RCV Academy demo test project. Okay, so we got 3 projects in the response message. Now the next request was the create a project. Let's see create a project response, and you see the JSON response for create a project is successful, and you are seeing the project details. Okay, so create a project has been successful. Let me close these windows, and then property transfer has been okay. That's fine. We can check the logs as well. You can see the project property transfer values have been transferred, and that's fine. Next step was get project details after project creation, and now you should be getting 4 projects here. Okay, so now you can see first project IT project plan, second sample project RCV Academy test project, and RCV Academy test project, okay, with the ID 5969. So now if you see this is the new project that has been created, because if you go to the old request, so GID is 59 ending in 5969. Let's see the property transfer log and see the GID there. Okay, so 5969 is the GID for the newly created project. So now that is the particular project which should be updated and deleted. Okay, so next request is update a project. Let's see the response message for update project, and go to JSON, and here you see 5969 is the GID for which the update request has run, and the name should have changed to stuff to buy. Okay, so name has been changed to stuff to buy in the response message. Okay, that means the update request has been successful as well. Going to the delete project, see the response, JSON response. That's the response that we are expecting when we delete a project. That means delete has been successful as well. And going to the last step, get project detail. Now we should be having only 3 projects, and now you can see only 3 projects are available, and the project with GID 5969 has been deleted successfully. It's not available in the list anymore. Now in this end-to-end tutorial you have seen that we have created the test case which involves get, post, put, and delete all 4 CRUD operations in the REST API. Now in further tutorial we will try to remove all the hard-coded values that we have used in this end-to-end test case, and then we'll also understand the assertions in this particular end-to-end test cases, which will give you a very good understanding when you are going to design your test cases for API testing or web service testing in your projects. So hope you liked the tutorial. Please do share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.